There's no doubt about it. The first generation Sequoia with the 4.7 liter V8 is one of the most reliable vehicles of all time, but even the reliable king has its problems. Let's go over the top problems for this vehicle. Now, I've seen those videos out there talking about the super big Sequoia problems, the ones that'll basically destroy your vehicle if they happen to you. And look, yeah, those are super scary and all, but I'm going to talk about the more common problems, maybe some of the smaller stuff that you'll see on your everyday older Sequoia. Because think about it, these vehicles are pretty much 20 years old, stuff is bound to break. Now, by far, one of the most common problems is issues with this rear tailgate lock, both the actuator and the lock itself. Now, before you ask, this is not a personalized license plate. This was just given to me randomly, and it spells some kind of weird something. Anyways, moving on to the lock. The actuator, that is what controls the locking mechanism of the lock itself. Now, mine, I have not repaired it yet, and so whether the car is locked, unlocked, or completely off, you can always open it. You just pull it. Now, it is a little bit hard to pull, but it always opens whether the car is locked or not. Another common issue is that this latch will break. And that means basically you pull on it, nothing happens. Some people just decide to install little levers at the bottom that open it just because this breaks so often, or you can try and repair it. The repair kit is like $50 on eBay, and then it's a little bit of work getting the rear end off up under here and replacing it. But yes, this is an extremely common problem, perhaps the most common problem out of all the ones on this list. While we're on the topic of door locks, the door locks on the front and passenger door, these especially, these tabs here do tend to break. When I bought the Sequoia a couple months ago, both of them were broken. And this isn't a break that doesn't allow you to close your door. It's just when you close it, you know that little, when you halfway close it, this right here, it's not closed all the way. That will be pretty much permanent. Your door will pretty much always be like that. When these little things are broken, I have mine replaced. This involves taking the door panel off. It's a little bit of a tedious process, but the repair itself is only like $20 to $30 for one of these new units. But yeah, that's definitely a common problem. When I bought it, the person who owned it thought it was a problem with this, and so he had this taped. But no, it's a problem with here. Again, another common problem. The next common problem is this rubber trim piece on the window. A lot of times this will chip, break, peel off, just get old and crack. This is extremely common. As you can see, it's not really sure why they put a chrome underlaying on this with a rubber cover, because it is supposed to be black. This is black from the factory. So it's just coming up and peeling. Now let's go look at the other side of the Sequoia. Also, if you want a TRD Pro grill, they are for sale on my website. So on this side, I actually painted them. So I super glued this down. I got a flat black and I painted them. And they do look a lot better. I had to paint these too because these were starting to rust. That's less common, but I did have to do it for this one. However, I did have to paint this in order to keep that matte black factory look, and I think it looks great painted. Now I just need to do the other side. Now the next problem comes in the rear airbag system of this vehicle. Now if you don't know, they do have the airbags suspension for towing. You can raise, lower the back end, but unfortunately mine does not work. And it did come like this when I bought it. And the electronics are all fine. It's just some system malfunction with the bag itself. So when I'm in the vehicle, I will press the up button and it'll blink, but it'll never go up. It'll just eventually reset itself and the bag will never turn on. So there's nothing wrong with the suspension as far as riding around, but when I do try to lower or raise the height of the bags, it does not work. And this is pretty common. A lot of people do just go ahead and replace the bags with a spring suspension in the back. That's a little bit of a tedious install, maybe a little bit upper level. I have not done that yet, but these bags, they're pretty much no good. Just to show you a little bit more of what I mean, this height control right here, that is the bag control. And there is a button, height control. You press it down, and in theory that is supposed to drop the airbag to low. Now, however, my car is just going to blink low and it is never going to go down. It's just going to blink like this until it eventually resets itself, and then the light will show neutral solid. So yes, the bags don't work. Another very, very common issue, and this is more of a wear or tear type of issue, is this right here. A lot of people have trouble with this tearing, ripping, getting torn up, and that's just from, it's a 20-year-old vehicle, like I said. Don't mean to be saying that too much, but I mean, you get in and out of the car, and this is exactly where, your legs hit a lot of time. It's going to have the most wear. So this rip on the driver's seat is very, very common. You can get it reupholstered, which is a little bit pricey, or you can get seat covers. But this one's not too bad, so I'll just kind of leave it alone. But again, this is extremely common, especially with the more in the 2001, 2002 Sequoia range as opposed to the 05 to 07. Overall, this is pretty easy fix, but again, kind of annoying and common issue. Another common issue is this rear wiper not working. It hasn't worked since I've owned the car. I have a buddy Sequoia, the rear wiper also doesn't work. In theory, it would just pop up when you turn it on and go back and forth like that. I mean, it's pretty much a basic rear wiper, but for some reason it doesn't want to ever pop up. It doesn't make a sound like it's going to pop up. And so, it just doesn't work. I'm not really one to use a rear wiper a lot, so I didn't really look into it, but another thing to look out for. Now, a problem that pretty much not that many people talk about, and I'm surprised that they don't talk about it more, is these stock speakers. Now, I repainted this speaker grill to look black. It does look a lot better. This was originally this color, but it's not the speaker grill that's the issue, it's the speaker itself. When I took off the door panel to replace the speaker, it was pretty much dissolving. It basically looked like paper. The foam was wearing out. The speaker was terrible. It's cheap from the factory, and then you add the age of the vehicle to it, and it literally disintegrated when I took off the door panel. So if you're going to do any door panel work and these speakers do work already, look out for that. You don't want to break them. But if they don't work, that's probably why. Now, there are some replacement options on Amazon. I'm probably going to do a video about that soon, but definitely look out for that. Even when they do work, they're not that great, which is partially because of the head unit, partially because of the speaker. But yeah, just look out for that when you're doing door panel work. Okay, and lastly, I know we said we weren't going to cover all that many really big problems, but the number one thing on these cars, mostly the up north cars, I do live in Alabama, so this is not a problem for me at all, but the frame rust is what kills a lot of these. There's multiple videos about people buying these cars, not looking at the frame, and then they put it up on a lift or they crawl under there, and it's just eaten up with rust, and basically the car is pretty much bad. Because the frame rust, I mean, if you have a rusted frame, you can't really drive it safely. So I'll show you up under mine. Like I said, there's pretty much no rust up under mine, but definitely check if you're going to buy one, or if you have one now and you haven't looked, you're going to want to look under there. So here we are up under the car. There's my frame rail. Like I said, no rust. One of the perks of living in a southern state. But yes, you definitely need to check up under here. And if the rust is here, it will be readily apparent. You will definitely be able to tell. So definitely look out for that. Again, back here, definitely look for rust. That is probably the number one killer of this vehicle. While on the topic of rust, I do have some hood rust here that I need to repair soon. This is less common, just because if you take good care of the car, if you keep it in a garage most of its life, or if you're the previous owner did, you probably won't have this issue, but I do have this issue. It's something that really kind of takes a look down a little bit, makes it look a lot less nice. But I'm hoping to get it repaired soon, so stay posted for that. Alrighty guys, so that's pretty much going to be it for today's video. I hope I shed some light on some of the common issues with this car. It really is super reliable, but there are just a few things you need to look out for. As a reminder, if you want to get a TRD Pro grill, check out the link in the description of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.